Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 10 math. So you can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 10 and then click on view all lessons. So there you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with chapter algebra. We're already working on. So let's just start with the chapter algebra. Okay, so we are going to start with the lesson simplify radical expressions. We're going to learn how do we simplify radical expressions, right? So let's just start with the lesson that is simplify radical expressions. Okay, let's just start with an example. So you have to subtract negative 6 square root 5 minus 5 square root 5, right? You can see both the terms have square root 5. So they are exactly like like terms because they have the same exponents. They have the same radicals, right? Okay, so we can take common square root 5 and we are left with we are left with we are then left with negative 6 minus 5, right? So negative 6 minus 5 makes negative 11, so that would be negative 11 square root 5, right? Okay, let's just do another example. So the other example is you have to simplify, right? Excuse me. Okay, the next one is 150 r exponent 8 and you have to simplify, right? Let's just factor out 150. Let's just make the factor of 150, right? It would be then 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 3 is 75 and 75 times 2 is 150 and you have R8, right? Okay, this 5 is, you can write 5 times 5 as 5 square times 3 times 2 and R exponent 8. We can then split it like 5 square and then 3 times 2 and R8, right? You can split even R8 because you can simplify R8, right? So you are left with just 5, and when you simplify R8 you are left with R4 and square root 6, right? So the simplified form is 5R4 and square root 6. That's how you simplify radicals, right? Okay, let's just do another example. Let's see how do we solve the radicals. Let me find example. Hold on. Okay, the next one is Okay, the next one is 5 square root 7 minus 6 square root 7, right? So you can see square root 7 is common for both. That means they are like terms. So you can take square root 7 common. You are left with 5 minus 6, right? So 5 minus 6 is -1. So the answer is -1 square root 7. Okay, so we can do the more further examples on A plus. Let's just later today. Let's just start with the next lesson. So the next lesson is linear equations, right? Let's just start with the lesson that is solve linear equations. But here we have before linear equations we have to solve right variable expressions, right? Let's just see how do we write variable expressions. Variable expression means you have to use variables and the operators to write down the expressions, right? For example, you are given divide 9 by y. So how do you write this expression as variable expression? Divide 9 by y. So you have to write variable expression, right? 9 by y. So it would be 9 over y, right? This way you can write the variable. Basically, you are given in the words form. You have to just write down in the variable expression, right? Like then another example is add t and 9. So how do you add? That would be just t plus 9, right? Okay, so let's just start with the next lesson that is very easy. We'll do the practice questions later. Let's just start with the lesson that is linear equation. Let's see how do we solve the linear equations. The lesson is solve linear equations, right? So the linear equations are the equations that have the variable with degree 1, right? And when you graph the equation, the graph of the equation is always a straight line, right? So let's just start with the example. Solving linear equation is very easy because only degree 1 variable is involved, right? So the example is 2 equals w divided by 2 minus 1. You have to solve this equation for w. So how do you solve? Okay, so it is, let's just multiply 2 to the other side. 2 times 2 w over 2 times 2 and minus 1 times 2. You have to multiply to both sides of the equation, right? So that would 4 equals 2w minus 2. Move this negative 2 to the other side, so it would be then added 4 plus 2 equals 2w, right? So 4 plus 2 is 6 and 6 equals 2w. So w equals 3, right? Solving linear equation is very easy. I'm going to write another example on the board. Okay, so the next one is, okay, the next example is 2q minus negative q equals 10. So which is the correct op? How do you solve this equation? Okay, so let's just start solve it. For the w, it would be 2q plus 6 equals 10, because subtracting a negative number is same as adding, right? So it would be 2q plus w. So move 6 other side, so it would be 2q equals 10 minus 6 and 2q equals 4, right? That means the value of q equals 4. So the correct option is q equals 4. Okay, so we can do the practice questions later today. Let's just start with the next lesson. The next lesson is solve systems of linear equation. Basically, that is just a quick review of the chapter uh, algebra, right? You have already done all these lessons on in the earlier grades. That is just a review, right? So how do we solve the equations? Let's just start with an example. Basically, you have three ways to solve the linear equations. Three, I think four. They are substitution method, elimination method, and the graphing method. So you can solve this equation by using any of the method you like, right? Let's just solve an equation, that is, let me just write down the lesson name, solve system of linear equation, right? System of linear equations. Let's just start with an example, right? The example is x plus y minus 1 equals 0 and negative 6x plus 6y equals negative 18. So you have to solve this equation. So we have already done with three of the ways in earlier grades. They are solving system of equations using elimination method, substitution method, and the graphing method. So which method we're going to use? Okay, so let's just solve this equation using elimination substitution method, right? So let's just calculate the value of x from this equation. It would be x equals 1 minus y, right? Now I'm going to substitute this value of x in the other equation, I'm going to use substitution method, right? It's up to you which method you're going to use. Negative 6 times 1 minus y plus 6y equals 18, right? It would be negative 6 plus 6y plus 6y equals 18, right? So negative 6 plus 12y equals 18. Move negative 6 to the other side, so it would be 12y equals 18 plus 6. 12y equals 24 and y equals 2. So we have done with the value of the one variable. Now let's just substitute y equals 2 in this equation, right? X equals 1 minus 2. So 1 minus 2 equals negative 1. So here is the solution of the system of equation. X equals negative 1 and y equals 2. That is the solution of the system of equation. Okay, let's just do another example using graphing method, right? So that we can just go through all the methods. So the next one is negative 2x equals 2y minus 12, and the other equation is y equals negative 3 over 2 x plus 7, right? Let's just write down the equation in standard form, right? It would be negative 2x plus 2 minus 2y equals negative 12. Negative 2 common, so you're left with x plus y equals negative 12. When you divide both sides of the equation by negative 2, it would be x plus y equals negative 6, right? Positive 6 you have divided by. So let's just calculate x-intercept, right? For x-intercept, you have to put y equals 0. It would be x equals 6. So the point is 6 and 0, right? And for y-intercept, you have to put x equals 0. Then it is 0 and 6. You have x-intercept and the y-intercept. These are the x-intercept and y-intercept for this equation, because we have to plot the graph. So for whenever we have to plot the graph, we have to calculate the x-intercept and the y-intercept, right? Okay, so that is for the equation number 1. Now let's just look at the equation number 2, right? That is y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 7. If you equate this equation with the y equals mx plus b, that is, I think, standard form of the equation, right? Then b equal is 7, that is the y-intercept, right? Y-intercept is 7 for this equation. And also you're given slope is negative 3, that is slope m equals negative 3 over 2, right? So you can use the slope, the y-intercept from this equation, and x and y-intercept for this equation. You can plot the graph, right? So I'm going to use an online tool to plot the graph, because on the board you cannot find the exact values. So let me just use Desmos, where we can calculate plot the equations. The equation is x plus y equals 6, and we'll find the solution of x plus y equals 6. And the second equation is y equals negative 3 over 2, y equals negative 3 over 2 x and plus 7. Okay, so here is the solution of both the equations, right? If you plot the points I calculated on the board, you will find exactly the same graph, right? So here is the point of intersection of both the equations. So that is the solution of this system of equation. That would be 2 and 4, right? Okay, so let's just do solve quadratic equation and then we'll go through the examples of all these lessons, right? So what do you think about quadratic equation? What is the quadratic equation? Quadratic equations are the equations that are degree 2 equations, right? Where the degree of the variable is 2, right? And whenever you are and whenever we have already done with quadratic equations also, we know how to solve the quadratic equation. You can solve by factoring the quadratic equations, and I forgot the name of the formula. That is, mm, remember the formula, but I forgot the name of the formula. Okay. For example, we have an equation. We have to solve this using, so the equation is 14w square plus 13w and plus 3. You have to solve this equation, right? That is a quadratic equation. You can see the highest degree of the variable is 2 here, right? So we have to solve this equation using, okay. So you can solve this equation by factoring, right? Let's just multiply the coefficient of w square and 3. 14 times 3 is 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 1 is 3 and 42. So you have to find two numbers whose product is 42, and when you add or subtract them, they makes 13. So think of the two numbers that when multiply makes 42 and that when added or subtracted makes 13. So what are the two numbers? Okay, yes. 6 times 7 is 42, and when you add 6 plus 7 makes 13, right? So it is 14w square plus 7w plus 6w plus 3 equals 0, right? So from here we can take common 7w, we're left with w plus 1. From here we can take common 3 and we are left with, here you have 7 times 2 is 14, 2w plus 1, right? So 2w plus 1, 2w plus 1, that is common, and you have 7w plus 3. So that is the factors of the equation, right? That this is the, that's how you can solve the factors of the equation. You have to solve the value of w, just equate them with 0, because you can see here you have 0, right? So 2w plus 1 equals 0 and 7w plus 3 equals 0. So 2w equals negative 1 and w equals negative 1 over 2. 7w equals negative 3 and w equals negative 3 over 7, right? Okay, let's just start with the practice questions for all the lessons we have done. So we have let's just start with the lesson. Okay, we have started with simplify radical expressions. So let's just start with the practice questions. Okay, subtract. Write your answer in simplest form. So 5 square root 7 minus 6 square root 7. So how do you solve? You can see both the expressions have square root 7, right? They are exactly like terms. So you can take common square root 7 and it would be 5 minus 6, right? So 5 minus 6 is negative 1, right? So it would be negative 1 square root 7, right? Or either negative square root 7. So option number 2 is the correct option. The correct option is the second one, negative square root 7, right? Okay, subtract, write your answer in simplest form. So which is the correct option? The correct option is negative 9 square root 2. Very good. The second option is the correct option. The next one is simplify negative 490. Okay, let's just see how can we simplify them, right? It would be 7 times 7 is 49 and then you have to multiply it by the 10, right? So we can write 7 times 7 is 7 square times 10 and we can write them as 7 square times square root 10. 2 and square root got cancel out and you're left with 7 square root 10. So the correct option is 7 square root 10. The correct option is 7 square root 10. Okay, the next one is 63w square. So which is the correct option? The correct option is 63w. 3 times 3 is 9 and 9 times 7 is 63, right? And you have w square also. So you can write 3 square w square because you can cancel out square root. So it will be 2 and square root cancel out, 2 and square root cancel out. So you are left with 3w square root 7. So the correct option is 3w square root 7, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. The second one is the correct option, right? Okay, the next one is solve write variable expressions. You can do variable expressions on your own. They are very easy. So let's just solve linear equation. They are also very easy, but we have to do a quick review. So let's just do some of the examples. Okay, the first one is 2q minus negative 6 equals 10. So which is the correct option? The correct option is very good. That is 2. Q equals 2 is the solution of the equation. Okay, the next one is d plus 3 over 4 equals 4. Let's just solve this for d. You have to multiply both sides of the equation by 4. D plus 3 over 4 equals 3 times 4 and 4 times 4. 4 and 4 got cancelled out, so you are left with d plus 3 equals 12. You have to subtract 3 both sides, so d equals d 12 take away 3 is 9. So the correct option is 9, right? The correct option is 9. Okay, you have to solve c by 2 equals 3. So which is the correct option? The correct option is c equals 6. The correct option is 6. Okay, let's just start with the next lesson. The next one is solve systems of linear equation. Okay, let's just see. Oh, I think here all the questions are solved using graphing method, right? Let's just start with the test question. Okay, y minus 6 equals 2x and y equals 2, right? So let's just see. You have to find a solution through graphing. Let's just graph this equation, right? Y equals 2. Here is the line for y equals 2, right? Okay, the first one is y minus 6 equals 2x. Let's just rewrite this equation. That would be in the standard form. Y equals negative 2x plus 6, right? If you equate this equation with the standard form, b equals 6, that is y-intercept. Y-intercept is x is 0, y is 6, and the slope is m equals negative 2. That means negative 2 over 1. X is 0, y is 6. Here is the y-intercept, right? And the slope is negative 2 over 1, right? That means you have to move left 2 and up 1. So just join these equations and let's see. Let me see the solution of the equations. Negative 2, 2, 2. But I have moved the graph. Let me just plot here, then I'll match the equation with the, hold on, y equals 2 and that's why graphing equation on board is very difficult. Always use an online tool. Y equals 2, y minus 6 equals negative 2x. Y minus 6 equals to x. Hold on. Let me just solve again. Y equals to. This is the equation for y equals to. Okay, y equals to, right? Okay, y equals negative 2x plus 6. That is the y-intercept, right? Y-intercept means x is 0, y is 6. Here is x is 0 point, y is 6, right? Then slope is m equals negative 2 over 1. Let's just calculate the x-intercept, right? For x-intercept, we're going to put y equals 0 in this equation. It would be then 0 equals negative 2x plus 6. Negative 2x equals negative 3. So x equals negative 6 it is. Negative 6 over negative 2. So x equals 3. The x-intercept is here on this side. Okay, here is x-intercept. Let's just join these 2 points and but very difficult to find the exact solution. But I think it is 2 2, right? I cannot find the exact value, but I think it is 2 and 2. The second option is the correct one. Let's see. Yes, 2 2 is the correct one, right? You can use proper graph paper to plot these equations, right? Okay, I'm going to solve this one using substitution method, not by using graphing method, because making graph on board is very difficult, right? So for the x plus y equals negative 1, let's just calculate the value of x from here. So x is 1 minus y. Let's just substitute this value in second equation, right? Negative 6, x is 1 minus y plus 6y equals negative 18. So it is negative 6 plus 6y plus 6y equals 18. So that is 12y equals 18 plus 6. 12y equals 24 and y equals 2. So you can put the value of 2 here, y here and calculate the x. So it would be 1 minus 2, that is negative 1. So the solution of the equation is negative 1 and 2, right? So it would be negative 1 and 2 and negative 1. X is 2 and y is 1. That is 2 and negative 1 is the solution, right? Okay, let's just go through the next one, that is the quadratic. Solve quadratic equation, because we have already done with some of the examples. So let's just do solve quadratic equations. Okay, let's just start with the practice questions. Okay, 86j square plus 100j equals 0. You have to evaluate for solve for j. Let me just write it down here. 86j square and plus 100j equals 0. Okay, let's just take 2j common from this equation, right? So 2j equals 43j and plus 50 equals 0, right? So 2j equals 0 and 43j plus 50 equals 0. So that means j equals 0. This is one of the answer, and 43j equals negative 50. So j equals negative 50 over 43. So these are the two values for j, because that is a quadratic equation, TK2 equation. So it must have two solutions, right? J equals 0 and j equals negative 50 over 43 is the, that is option number 1 is the correct option, right? Okay, the second one is 27w square plus 90w. 27w square plus 90w plus 75 equals 0. We have to divide this equation by 3, I think. Let's see. Okay, 3 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 30 is and 3 times 25, right? 3 times 9 is 27, 3 times 30 and okay plus w. You can solve this equation by solving either by factoring or either by applying quadratic formula. Yes, I got that would be quadratic formula. Okay, let's just see if I can factorize 3w square plus 30w and plus 25. Let's just multiply 25 times 9, right? 25 times 9 is 9 times 5 is 45, 9 times 2 is 18, 225. So you have to find two numbers whose product is, when you multiply them, the product is 225, and when you add or subtract, the answer is 30. 25 times 5, right? 5 times 5 is 25, 5 times 2 is 10. No, that is 125. Hold on. 25 times 9. 25 25 times 9 is 225, and 25 times 5 is 125, but 30 35, no, I think we can use quadratic formula to solve this equation. The quadratic formula is w equals negative b plus minus b square minus 4ac divided by 2a, right? Okay, so let me just put the values, right? Negative 30 plus minus b square is 30 square minus 4a is 9, c is 25, and divided by 2a. Let me just solve, right? 2a is 9. So negative 30 plus minus 30 square is 900, and 4 times 9 times 25. 0 it is. 30 over 18, negative 30 over 18 you are left with, right? So negative 30 over 18 is negative 6 over 3. Negative 30 over 18. The correct option is negative 5 over 3, right? Because when you write the 6, it would be negative 5 over 3. The correct option is negative 5 over 3, right? Okay, you can complete the practice questions by yourself later today. So we were working on grade 10 math. The chapter we're working on is algebra, that is a review for the previous grades. So the lessons we have completed today are simplify radical expressions, write variable expressions, solve linear equations, solve system of linear equations, and solve quadratic equations, right? So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we did today. So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday, 5 to 9, or either you can join me in the interactive session that would be daily from 4 to 5 and from 9 to 10, right? So that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye, everyone.